I brought 420.soul on stage. Oh, he's gone now already. I was excited to hear from him. He's got a bodago. He said to DM him for a grow guide, which is, always something that you want to DM people for. Nick, it looks like there's a little pep in your step this morning. How's it going, buddy?
My sleep score was 100 last night. So, I still have a little bit. I think I have a little bit of a sleep debt still remaining, and so that's concerning. I've been exploring various apps for tracking my sleep. After one bad night of sleep, I had to investigate the situation and upgrade it. But last night, 100.
That's it. I don't even believe that. That's incredible. Are you sleeping with like a Whoop strap around your chest or something? Like, how is it tracking that? Or is it Apple Watch?
Yeah, it's Apple Watch. I'm a little skeptical of this one. So yeah. Whoop was I had purchased, but then I was like, this is stupid. This is $250 for Whoop. They didn't let me cancel. I have to return it now. So it's arriving this week, but I'm just literally like shipping it back because $250 is way too much for
a lifetime of good sleep. I agree. It's very expensive.
Okay. But the Apple Watch tracker is $5 or one time a $5 fee. I feel like that's good. I think the key factor last night was the 2.5 hours of deep sleep. That was the key thing. And the night before I didn't have that. So things seem to be improving. Outside of, I was shocked it was 100 because I woke up in the middle of the night.
Which is why dude, it's just, I'm not even fading your sleep score, but I'm saying if you woke up in the middle of the night, you can't have a 100 sleep score. Maybe it's a 99, but it can't be a 100 sleep score. I've heard the only accurate sleep analysis tools are the ones that like attach to your body, like around the chest and stuff like that, like the Whoop. I might actually look into doing that. I mean, look, it's important.
You got the Aura Ring? Do you have the Aura Ring?
That's the other one they mentioned that actually is pretty effective. So basically, there's a few things you need. One is 8 sleep. You need to get the mattress. It's like, well, for the overlay, it's 23.
Is 8 sleep legit though?
I don't know. Everyone swears by it. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all these people use 8 sleep, and so
Italian
does
founder
Brian Johnson, your favorite guy. So they all use 8 sleep, and it's about temperature regulation there. So that's like the key thing. Now, I looked at getting it. It's like $2,400 for the mattress cover. It's if you get the mattress, it's $2,800, I think. And I don't know. I think it's interesting, but the bottom line is you need so the 8 sleep is one thing. You need your sleep monitor. The top 2 are Whoop and Aura Ring. And then there are Apple Watch solutions, and there's a lot of YouTube reviews. I spent a bunch of time with this of people returning their Whoop and getting their Apple Watch instead. And the Apple Watch Ultra was the main thing because it does better blood oxygen and heart monitoring than the previous versions. That said, it shows my blood oxygen level at like terrifyingly low levels. And I have a separate pulse oximeter that I use to like measure, see what my blood oxygen levels are. It'll be like, okay, not terrifyingly low, but low to a degree that you're just like, what? How is this even possible? Like
I would expect that, like super duper low blood oxygen levels from you.
Okay. Okay.
So, dude, Brian Johnson, it's funny you say he's my favorite guy. He literally is my favorite guy.
I didn't say your favorite guy. Dude, you came to me the other day. It's like, so there's this guy, Brian Johnson. I'm like, you're about to educate me. I've been watching all this stuff for a very long period of time. But initially, there was a little bit of skepticism because all the articles were like, this guy, it was the BuzzFeed Business Insider headline style, which is like, this guy is spending $3 million a year
to live forever.
Yeah. And basically all the comments are like, this guy's spending $3 million a year to look like he's 65.
That's wicked. I mean, that's wicked funny. he does actually look really good for his age, at this point.
His body does. His face has, he's had so much treatment on it to a degree that I think he's even had a little bit of like Botox added, but his face is interesting, and more of the pigment of his skin. He's so white that he looks vampire-like.
Oh yeah, he definitely does. I replied to this tweet right here with the outfit. I said, "Where can I get that shirt?" He let me know. So shout out to Brian Johnson for letting me know where I can cop that. He did an interview with Vlad TV. So Vlad TV is a longtime hip hop interview YouTube channel, like very well known, very big audience. And I guess Vlad has been having more and more non-hip hop people basically taking like a Joe Rogan approach. And he had Brian Johnson on. It is a phenomenal interview. It's so good.
Well, so I haven't listened to that, but when you talk about like the different podcasts, the reality is that if you have an interview podcast, frankly, if you have any podcast that happens any day, wink, wink, it's hard to come up with like new evolving content for it. And I think the same thing goes for the interviews. So have you seen what's the CEO? It's now the main theme, and everyone's copying his podcast style. It's this. It's called Diary of a CEO. So
yeah, British guy.
Yeah. So this guy, I was looking into it, and there were clips that I started seeing of him, and he's in like, a multi-million-dollar like van or car with excuse me, with those like stars on the roof. You know what I'm talking about? And it's like, to a degree that I was like, damn, he's spending that much on a car, and he's got a driver like who's driving him around. Like, what did this guy do? And he has like this team of people. You should see like the podcast team that's involved in the production of this. I mean, he has to pay for it, so he has enough money that people can pay for it. But he was on, what's the British and Canadian Shark Tank equivalent?
The Dragon's Den.
So he was on that, and he made a claim that he had basically sold a company for $100 million or some claim that turned out to be like completely false. And a lot of people are like, this guy exaggerates a lot of his claims. And there's this side, because you mentioned Brian Johnson going on this podcast, there's a degree of me which wonders, like, most doctors are not on like every single podcast, like someone who's doing scientific research, for example, and they come out with their thesis and they end up publishing it. Although you do have Huberman, who is a Stanford professor. So he's kind of, I think, and I've seen other Stanford professors that are particularly good at their promotional abilities. I feel like there's like promotions is just a skill unto itself, self-promotion. And some people are just really, really good at that, no matter how much money they have. And so I wonder to some degree how much people like misrepresent themselves versus accurately represent themselves. Don't get me wrong. That podcast is sick. Diary of a CEO. And he's launching a product called like talk. I don't know what it's some sort of cards conversation starting.
Talk like a CEO.
No. It was a conversation starter thing. It had nothing to do with being a CEO. It was just getting to the root of like really understanding somebody. And he asked good questions. And I'm like, yeah, I'd go buy that deck. Like, it was really good content. But I mean, this chart shows it. It just has this like consistent, straight up sort of thing. The problem is I he's started getting guests who I personally know. And like, there's only so many people that are at like, there's like tiers, and basically like they start going down those tiers because there's only so many people at the top of the pyramid, basically. And so in my mind, it's sort of like you could probably structure that so that podcast, so there's only like you start it and you end it. That you just have, I mean, I feel really good about the podcast that I made, for example, in the NFT space. I did the 25 interviews, boom, done.
You also have a bunch that you never edited, right? That you never put out.
Well, maybe those people didn't matter.
Either that or those are the lost episodes that goes into the lore. Yeah, I mean, this guy, that tweet that Clemente just had pulled out points out that this podcast is like, I guess, the fastest growing podcast on YouTube, period. And then he's absolutely crushing it right here on the screen. He had Robert Greene, the author of 48 Laws of Power. He had Dame Dash, who is Jay-Z's co-founder in Rockefeller Records.
Most of those names don't matter. The top one is that AI one. He has the Google head of AI, who's basically just like, we're all going to die from AI. And this guy like quit Google and is now like sounding the alarm, which is similar to oh my God, I'm blanking on his name.
The guy who was on Bankless, the AI guy who was on Bankless interview, who did the same.
No, I was thinking about, oh my God, I sent a message with this guy. I knew this guy from San Francisco and I can't even remember his name. He basically went on and did a whole Netflix show where he was talking about how awful social media is. And it was funny.
Oh, the guy that you told me to read his book, Indian guy?
No. So whatever it is, I'm loading it up here and I'm looking through my messages. What was funny was I ran into him in the street and I had met him years ago. I ran into him in New York and I was like, hey man, great stuff that you're doing. And the way for me to contact him was on Facebook Messenger. And that's where he replied. It was I found it funny that's where I was communicating with him after he was sounding the alarm on how awful that is. But I'll find his name. Anyways, he has a Netflix show that was focused on this, and it was similar, sounding the alarm on like the addictive loops of social media, which is ironic because so one of the guys, this is a rambling thing. My apologies, but I'll wrap
apologize.
This up. The Nir Eyal is one of the guys who I knew who went on to Diary of a CEO. He wrote the book Hooked. Hooked, yes. It talks about literally just like creating hooks within products. But he wrote that back early on in the Facebook days when everyone was like really optimistic about the implications of social media. Now he wrote a subsequent book, which is how to stop using social media, going against all the methods that he had mentioned. Then Mark Zuckerberg came out the other day he didn't actually come out and say it. It got leaked that basically 50% of all Threads users were gone within like 1 week. And additionally, he was saying we need to use hook loops in order to get people active on the app, AKA go back to the stuff that works with social media in order to get those people hooked. Which I thought that was just like everybody uses it, and it's kind of like the world that we live in. But and anyways, all these people, why did I share that whole thing? I just find it interesting because some people are much better at promotion than they are at actual like content. And additionally, some of these people you end up seeing all over the place. Right now, Brian Johnson is that guy who's on every single podcast. Like he's on a tour.
I think so. But he's actually really interesting, and there's real substance with Brian Johnson.
Oh, totally.
On the Vlad TV interview, he was fresh out of getting some laser surgery on his skin. So he had, or like some treatment. So he's got a bunch of like red dots all over his face and his neck. It's wicked funny for him to just be sitting there. And he like, I don't know. I'm a big fan. I like optimization stuff. And this guy has taken optimization so far with like his body and everything and pushing his body. I think it's really cool. I'm a fan of it. And that interview on Vlad TV is great. The reason it's good is Vlad just gets out of the way. I mean, the format of that interview is the camera's just on the guest and you hear Vlad's voice from behind the camera. And that's how Vlad's interviews have always gone. That's the way to do it. Like when we do the Bitcoin show, I just try to ask broad questions and not really say much and let the guests talk the whole time. That's kind of really what makes for a good podcast is you get a good guest, you ask like a solid question and then just get the hell out of the way and let them go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead.
Tristan Harris is the guy I was thinking of, who's the person that he created a whole nonprofit. He made a bunch of money off of social media and then basically like became anti-social media and had a pitch deck that went viral around Google about how awful this is and the modes that are used. And then he created a nonprofit to combat it. Anyways.
Got it. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to discuss why anticipation is building at this point for DeGods Season 3. We're going to talk about the successful RENGA and Haas collaboration drop and the CryptoDickButts 30-day countdown kicking off for the passing off of the collection. Today's free NFT that's going to come later on in the show is courtesy of very talented artist Cendan Claiborne, who is being featured through today's Artist Spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, you've probably heard me talk about Artist Spotlight on the show before. It is designed to showcase artwork from talented artists in the NFT space. It is not sponsored. In fact, we actually pay the artists that participate on Artist Spotlight, and we just want to shed a light on some of the more talented creators in the space. So Cendan is originally from Oakland, California, now lives in Utah, working as a designer and illustrator for Golden Wolf and Doodles. So Golden Wolf, if you remember, is the animation platform that was developed or that was acquired by Doodles. His art take inspiration from characters living outside of society's norms. Be sure to follow the artistic journey on Twitter at CENDANTV. And if you are an artist that wants to participate in the Artist Spotlight series, you can apply at the nifty.com/artist. Clemente just had some of the artwork on the screen. It's super duper dope. It's an art style that I personally am very much so drawn to. Very, very cool stuff. Really great color, really good contrast. Big fan of it. Anyway, Signal, please take it away. The weather report on Wednesday, August 2nd, please.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. It's out. Yeah, Wednesday, August 2nd. Total market volume just shy of 13 million. Blur coming in at 9. OpenSea at 2.7. On to leaders. You got Apes just hovering around 29.30 ETH. And Mutants at 5.5. Punks at 46.9. DeGods hovering above 9 at 9.2. Azuki and Captain just shy of 5. And Pudgy's at 4.2. Over the past 24 hours, well, the Nakamigos have announced that fall is coming. They're hinting at Game of Thrones. There was like a wolf shown in the in the letter O. So we know something is coming this fall. Nakamigos pumped on this news, and it's up to 0.3 ETH. On to collectibles, and American rapper Post Malone purchased Magic the Gathering, the One Ring trading card. It's a pity that Spencer's not here because it sold for $2.6 million. This is the most expensive Magic the Trading card of all time, crushing the previous record of 800,000. On to politics, and the Kenyan government has banned WorldCoin, citing concerns around security, financial services, and data protection. WorldCoin, on the other hand, cited the ban was due to not having a large enough venue. More than 350,000 people have signed up for the WorldCoin orb, have signed up for the tokens, which have a value right now of about $50. And then lastly, onto real life NFT use. Etihad, the airline, has sold out its 300 NFTs on Polygon. Etihad obviously is one of the world's most luxury airlines. This is their first Web3 airline loyalty program, and it allows the owners to stake their NFTs to earn Etihad miles and spend on travel and Web3 perks. If we look over at crypto, you got BTC hovering around 29.5, ETH in the high 1800s, Solana at 23.6, and Ape just shy of 2 at 1.8. So crypto pulling back some of the steady. Looks like it's in the sort of waiting pattern. Let's see what happens when we get out of eggplant season. Back to you, folks.
Well, interesting to see that airline taking a page out of Starbucks's book and doing a loyalty or rewards program through NFTs on Polygon. You wonder how many more brands are going to participate in something like that. Your updates from the Nifty Daily Digest, which is the daily newsletter published at thenifty.com. You need an account at thenifty.com to claim today's free NFT. So go to thenifty.com and make sure that you have an account. First story: Beeple purchased CryptoPunk number 4593 as his first profile picture NFT. Bought it for 114 ETH just a week after declaring that he was starting to search for a CryptoPunk. It looks like he's made a Beeple, everyday piece, as we call it, that is inspired by it. The piece is him decked out looking like the CryptoPunk. This was a big step because there's almost like a political divide between PFPs and non-PFPs for people that are in the art side of the NFT space. So I'm sure this was a big deal to him, even though obviously it's not a big deal at all and it's totally normal. CryptoDickButts Series 4 collection has sold out. 6,900 new NFTs sold out for 0.065 Ethereum each. Wow. That's a lot. That's in this market. That's a lot of, a lot of NFTs, relatively high price. They made a little bit of money on the way out. In 30 days now, the ownership of the collection is going to be gifted to the largest combined owner of the CryptoDickButts collection. So there won't be any obligation from the people that just raised the money from the primary sale. Michael Saylor, Giga Chad himself, the gentleman that single-handedly really poured gasoline on the fire of the 2020 and 2021 Bitcoin bull run. His business, MicroStrategy, has announced that they plan to raise up to $750 million through a stock sale, and the proceeds are going to be used for general corporate purposes, including the acquisition of more Bitcoin. No surprise there. Haas and RENGA Racing collection has sold out during its allow list phase. 1,000 NFTs sold for 0.088 each. ETH each. The collection features a dynamic NFT that updates depending on the current Formula One race location and has a series of upcoming raffles and activations for holders. So it looks like it brought in about 100K. So those are your stories from the weather report. Nick, what do you make of the Dick Butt art reveal and the mint of 6,900 additional CryptoDickButts 30 days ahead of the passing of the torch and subsequent, and the corresponding obligations of the team?
I already expressed my take on this. Yesterday we discussed it sort of ad nauseum. These things look like crap.
Okay.
I think that that this project is one giant rug pull, but hopefully it becomes historical art. It actually doesn't look that bad relative to what we expect out of Dick Butt art, if I'm being completely honest. But I don't know. Congratulations to the team on taking money on the way out. You guys did it. Bravo. You did that. You achieved what everybody wants to achieve, but nobody says that they want to, which is make money and have no obligation. So congratulations to the team. You guys really succeeded.
A rare congratulatory moment from NFT Nick. Does anyone... Oh, yeah?
Well, I just wanted to say in other news that literally doesn't matter, Nakamigos.
That was the next thing I was going to discuss. The thing about the Nakamigos graphic that I love is that it's literally like a stock font, and then they just put a Nakamigo in the O, and it's
it's Game of Thrones font.
Oh, got it. That actually makes sense. That makes sense. That's pretty funny. Well, I mean, think about it. Like they could have done a whole like dragon thing or something, but they're like, nah, just throw a Nakamigo in the O.
If it works, it works. That's it. If it works, it works. Their floor moved up a whopping 10%.
No, 30%. Nakamigos went up 30%. And also I thought that the wolf, at first I thought that wolf might have something to do with Wolf Game because it's a very similar looking wolf, but I don't want to say that there's a link there because there might not be at all. But people are saying like second animal collection, please, hopefully not. But let's see. They've been teasing this for the past 4 or 5 months. So I'm hoping something original comes out of the Nakamigos team.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, I'm just trying to discern if this is like an actual thing or if it's, your typical NFT, kind of playbook that we've seen, unfortunately, time and time again. I mean, look, again, I talked about yesterday, like me being uncomfortable discussing some of this stuff on the show because I just feel like again and again and again, we're like, yeah, I don't know if that's really a promising business venture there. I just don't know. And then people get really mad and then they end up like, look at this. I got somebody in the comments mad right now that holds Nakamigos. And it's like, I just am very uncomfortable being like, I don't know if that anonymous team is really trying to build a quality startup over the next 5 years. So, anyway, we can move on from that.
Real quick though, Pio, just to jump in. I looked at it, I was like, dude, the floor price jump. This is, pretty exciting for Nakamigos. The basically what I use now to kind of tell like, hey, is this a real pump or not though, is Nakamigos unique owners in the last 60 days has seriously decreased. Like they're down 350 unique owners. So even yesterday, like you look at this line, they lost 89 owners. So it's basically just whales accumulating at this point. So just want to also note that like these pumps can be I'm not saying it's necessarily manufactured, but I thought it was interesting.
That's literally every pump in NFTs. Like I don't know if there's any pump at this point where the price goes up and the number of holders
So
increases.
Pudgy Penguins is up 1 ETH in the last 30 days, and they added about 60 unique owners.
Okay.
That's a very good metric. I mean, obviously 60 is not a massive number, but in this market, you gotta take that. That's awesome. That with the pump, Pudgy Penguins actually increased their unique ownership. Obviously, that's a kind of a traditional startup being built in the NFT space. So love to see that and hope that there's success there.
Last 30 days they're up. Last 90 days they peaked out at 6.18 ETH. So
very high.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, this chart, look at the 90-day chart for, I think, a more accurate assessment. I'm not trying to fade Pudgy, by the way. I think that I like what they're doing. They're actively building stuff and they're building in public. And I like, great job by the team. Just generally speaking, it's so hard to make those prices go up when, because there's a number of people that are trying to always like exit the ecosystem. That's actually the biggest challenge of all these NFT projects. We were discussing it ourselves. I'm not going to talk about all of our internal conversations, but the bottom line is like, you have this churn of people. Inherently, for price to go up, you need some people to churn out, basically. And so they're selling those floor items. And so like, a lot of times they say it's like we're more people are coming into the community, but I feel like it's actually people are leaving the community. Like the elders of the community are exiting, and that's awful for community development. If the people who are been in the cult for an extended period of time are exiting, you have a constantly churning like dynamic within the community itself. So I just find like NFT community development is one of the most challenging things simply because of that side of things. What you're really aiming for is just the loyalists to hold all of them and like essentially corner the market and control the floor. That's like the ideal situation, is that like a small group of people buys up all the remaining items and then like controls what the entry price is, and has an onboarding into the community process where they like let people in and like let people come in as that goes up, so that you're not like focused on the speculator side of things. I don't know. But as Art vs. Web3 says, I'm a professional pessimist. That's just because I don't like your art. That's like the
well, I'll tell you what art I do like. I definitely like the RENGA and Haas racing collection. I've been a fan of the RENGA artwork for a long time. Dirty Robot seems to have kind of stuck a flag in the ground, declaring, I make the best profile picture art in the NFT space. At least that's my opinion. Is his art style. He was able to really, in my opinion, brilliantly translate to profile picture artwork, which we saw with RENGA and then now with Haas Racing. I think really the problem with RENGA is when I shouldn't call it a problem, but the reason for the decline in price on RENGA is just because there's quite a few RENGAs, right? I think there's like 7,000 or 8,000 of them. And it seems that it's only an art project. Obviously this is a collab with Haas Racing, adding another 1,000 to the ecosystem. So about it's a 10K collection, RENGA is. If RENGA came out at the very beginning of the bull run, like, early or mid 2021, or really right at the beginning of 2022, I think that you would have seen insane doodles and cool cats-esque price appreciation, like absolutely wild numbers. You saw really strong numbers regardless, right? I think the top for the black boxes that you used to reveal into a RENGA was something like 5 Ethereum. So very, very strong performance out the gate for RENGA. I think when you have a supply that high on something that's singularly an art collection, it becomes challenging because you attract so many speculators and you attract so many people that are wondering what comes next. And then it's basically on the artist to, just have an iconic art career inside and outside of the NFT space without, creating too much supply. So I'm actually really interested to see Ferocious's profile picture collection and what sort of traction that can get, because I think Ferocious is an example of an artist that's been accepted by the traditional art world at this point and the NFT world. And even when dropping new things, there's still been a lot of attention on those new things. There's been high price points. So we'll have to see what the Ferocious profile picture collection does. The RENGA, if you minted the RENGA Haas Racing collection, then you had an opportunity, it looks like, for a 3x right out the gate, because it did peak at 0.3 Ethereum. The post-reveal dip brought it down to 0.13. So people were still very much so interested in speculating on it. And I should mention that, Clemente wrote in the call sheet here that Haas and RENGA seem to have taken a consumer-based approach for the drop, using it as a way for Formula One fans to enjoy a more intimate experience while also, having great art in the collection. What's so funny, Clemente? What's going on?
Nick's laughing at it.
I'm just looking for an intimate F1 experience. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's just what I'm thinking about when you brought this up. And I'm wondering what that experience is like. There's many intimate experiences that I have yet to have, which is one of the beauties of life, And I just think that that's one in particular that I really think I'd enjoy.
You might
Raffles, meet and greets. You get to talk to the team. Have your ENS name on the little thing where they put the cars.
My ENS name?
ENS name. NFT Nick. Daddy.
Okay, well, that's not as exciting. I'm going to be honest. I'd rather get in the car, and maybe give one of those drivers a handy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just talking about intimate moments, dude. What the hell?
Yeah. You meant like actually shift the gears for the guy so he doesn't have to do as much work.
Give him I'm talking about being an assistant driver.
Yep.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
totally.
but you're probably going to ghost whip. So in an F1 car, we can't have that. So it's better that you're not in there.
I do like that idea. I like the idea of Nick ghost riding an F1 car. I don't think we've seen that before, so that would definitely be a first. So DeGods Season 3 has been announced for August 8th. That's in 6 days. I believe that's also the day that Clemente moves to New York. So exciting day for a number of reasons. After initially being slated for Q2 of 2023, the final date was provided for the very highly anticipated art rework of DeGods. The floor is up 16% on the news. That's to 9.2 Ethereum. Utes are sitting at 1.8 Ethereum. So last two big moments like this in the NFT space are, of course, Azuki with the Elementals drop and Captains with the, I guess you'd call it the reveal of the unrevealed staked captains, the smart PFP drop. I think the big question people are probably asking is like, this is the question that everybody asks every step of the way, every moment in the NFT spaces. Will this cause positive price appreciation, or will it cause a decline in price, Nick?
By the anticipation, sell it before it releases.
Well, the anticipation moment, I think, is past now, right? Wouldn't you say that? I mean, we're already up 16% on the announcement.
Yep. Get the hell out of there.
Okay. We've seen multiple seasons of DeGods and not Utes, but DeGods having art updates. I don't believe, have there been Utes art updates thus far? I don't think so, right? Maybe?
No, nothing. Nope. It's just been what they have right now.
Easy. What do you think of the DeGods Season 3 drop here, or big reveal? And what do you think is going to happen?
It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of speculation, multiple delays that have come into play, which is not uncharacteristic of what we've seen so far from like DeGods team and some of that. So like, I think a lot of people are just like anxious to get it. At this point, it's a matter of like, how much does it wow? People really like the teaser website. That was the old Facebook, I believe it was Facebook kind of rollout.
Right.
It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, their team tends to put on a really well-received, I guess you could call it, show when it comes to the things that they tend to roll out. So for me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, where does this go from here? What's going to be like the cause and effect of it? How does the ecosystem react to it, even with this delay? I'm excited for it. I mean, an art revamp, I believe, on both. And then they said that there's going to be more in store. So they've also now started like allowing for some mechanics to be used where people can stake and unstake to accrue points. Seems like we're finally going to get an answer on what points are. And you're seeing a lot of like the traditional kind of social media tour that we get from Frank in anticipation of it. So I'm eager to see what they deliver on. Every time that they've rolled something out, it's been really well done marketing wise, and something that I always really enjoy to follow along with, especially from an Easter egg standpoint, and seeing what they kind of slip in there for people to speculate on. So yeah, I think the floor price appreciation has done a very positive sign so far. You saw them dip to as low as like 7.5, now back above 9 for DeGods, and Utes got as low as 1.3. So now seeing them back in the 1.8 range has people clearly expecting something. It's going to be tough. I think we do see a short-term sell-off when it comes to the initial rollout and reveal, like the Nick said, kind of one of those sell the news events. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Signal, any thoughts on DeGods season 3?
Yeah, no, I think Frank does, like Neezy was saying, like he does an awesome job of marketing. And, you know, every time I listen to him, I'm always like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm back on it, Frank. I believe in what you can do. I think the most telling thing that I really like about him and what the team are doing is that because they're so on it, they look like a team that are going to learn from other people's mistakes. And when I saw the tweet that Frank put out saying that, you know, we did roadmaps, we did X, we did Y, we did Z, like the community, like nobody wants it. You have to do, you have to basically do the inverse. It just feels like that team have their finger on the pulse of the button. So what I anticipate could happen, maybe not in a short term, but you could see a rotation of capital where people have lost faith in other certain collections, or, you know, even in meme coins, and it's just like, well, you know, that team is executing well, so I'm going to rotate a bit of money into DeGods or into Utes. That doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, price go up astronomically, but we could just see unique ownership go up, and for them to adopt a broader community of people who previously were not owners. And I think actually that's more interesting if they can get new people to come in when other communities are basically, you know, struggling and lots of people are exiting. So that could happen to Utes and DeGods.
I'm interested to see this rollout. I anticipate it to be similar to some of the stuff that we're working on, and we're going to beat them to the punch.
That's the attitude I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm very interested to see this roll out. Obviously, a lot of people are declaring, you know, all eyes on DeGods and Utes right now in the NFT space, and I think that's a fair position to have. Nick, I wanted to see, would you be interested in doing some crypto technical analysis?
Yeah, and I'll tell Easy what his price target should be during this analysis. I actually. Real quick, I have been watching the price action, and there's some key levels that I've been paying attention to here. The summary of all of this is it's bullish at the moment. We're looking at we continue to test key levels. I have the ETH
This is
chart.
Ethereum. Yep.
You have the ETH chart pulled up on the daily. The weekly, I think, is even more telling about this. On the weekly, we definitely had a drop below, but overall, we've had this feeling of kind of like consolidation following the previous pumps. We had some really bullish pumps there on Solana, on ETH, on Bitcoin. Bitcoin pulled back as well off the 30,000 level. That is actually the most, I would say, negative potential. But if you look at Kix's favorite Bollinger Bands and his, you know, because he operates as John Bollinger occasionally, it did tick off the mid-range of the bands, which is pretty solid. And Bitcoin tends to be I mean, it's still, don't get me wrong, it's volatile, but it tends to be less volatile than ETH and especially Solana. So this is still in a potentially bullish range with what I think is a bear trap is where we could be at the moment. I'm waiting. I have more cash that I want to invest. I moved a lot of cash over to buy more crypto, and I bought some Solana, and I will buy a little more Bitcoin, and I'll buy a little more ETH. Solana also pulled back off of its higher range, but I have way less levels on this one for those that are watching on YouTube. But like, this is not yet bearish for me, and I'm overall interested in accumulating Solana as it goes down, maybe even by a little today. So that's the one that I'm looking at. The ETH chart itself is the main one that I pay attention to. I have so many lines on it. Obviously,
It's a lot of lines.
It's because
Dude,
primarily.
that thing is my God, dude.
Okay,
It's like, yeah, so we got support and resistance every dollar along the way. Every 15 cents is an additional level of support.
Okay. It's funny that you say that for someone that trades the 30-second wicks, basically.
Works out beautifully for me.
I'm just saying, though, those levels end up being way more interesting when you look at hourly charts and things like that. The daily, you see a lot of close range levels here, but I don't know. I like where we're at. We're at a little bit of consolidation here. I don't know if it's going to turn. We're not yet at that point. I'm feeling like we could break below, or we could go up. So I'm waiting kind of on the sidelines to see confirmation of a break here while accumulating a little bit.
Nick, can I ask a quick question? What are you watching for? I've never done TA in my entire life, and I just see
Clemente. It's astrology for men, so don't worry about it. But anyway, go ahead, Clemente.
Ask the question, because I am probably one of the best astrologers in this space. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, like, what are you said you're waiting for watching for confirmation. What would that look like if we're looking at it right here?
Bouncing off of this level and extending, going up to like 1900, breaking above these levels where you're seeing resistance. That's all I'm looking for. Breaking above resistance and having sustained levels there. Like, here was an example of it where it broke above and then promptly dumps, right? So like that's where you're saying, like, that's a false breakout. You have a similar thing here, false breakout, but it keeps attempting, right? Like the general rule of thumb is, the more attempts that you make against those levels, the weaker that resistance becomes. That's the theoretical thing. The same thing goes down on support. If it keeps testing support, I see, like, I have two levels essentially, but basically 18, somewhere between 1830 and 1840. Doesn't make a difference. But it attempts to break below and can't make a break below. And that's where you see these wicks, even where it drops below, can't make it down below. Can't make it down below, can't sustain below. So like, when you see that, that's like that's just sign of support. Both these things get weaker over time. So support weakens, resistance weakens. Both those things weaken. So it can go either way. I'm just looking for new levels. And for me, usually if you get confirmation that you have a bullish trend, well, then it tends to follow the trend. And that's the way that I'm more doing it. I'm not someone who's looking at the 30-second candles and doing trades based on that. That's like pure gambling. All of it's gambling, though, depending on
short-term trading for sure. Yes.
Yeah, the duration that you're looking at. Longer term, I'm way more interested in accumulating these things at cheaper prices. For example, Solana, I think easily will surpass $100 in the future, if not hundreds of dollars. But I'm saying easily surpass $100 in the future.
So you're looking at a clean 5x,
4 to 5x. So I'm saying, okay, if I can go make 4 to 5x on anything, then that's like a great outcome. If you're looking at your like 401k portfolio or something like that, for it to make a 4x is going to take many years for that to occur.
Unless you bought Facebook when it sold off during the FTX debacle.
Yeah, but
or if you're buying copper stocks with the room temperature semiconductors.
But you shouldn't be day trading your 401k or your Roth IRA or what. Actually,
I should close these 0 day to expiration call options I got right now.
The Roth IRA one, actually, that is probably the best place to be doing some of the short-term trading, because there's just no tax whatsoever. But you're gambling away everything. And I'd rather keep the gambling to some of my other areas. So my 401k is not day traded. In fact, I went back and looked at the portfolio of like individual stocks that I'd picked during the COVID boom, and it was a definite mix. And some of the stocks had gone down 95%, which is so insane. Peloton being an example. I mean, I kept one share just because I wanted to see
track
it
the price.
I wanted to see it go down, and I had exposure to there
Were
was
you in
another one.
Wayfair at all?
No, but
was a
Agora
good
is this other one, which is an API that I used to use for search interfaces, and they had a better one than the Amazon solutions. I'm blanking on the cloud search solutions, but Elasticsearch. And I liked the implementation of Agora. They were so overinflated, and I went and looked at one of my brokerage accounts, and I had like $3,000 in it that was now worth like 400. And I was just like, damn, that's devastating. And so now I've been moving way more of my stuff just into literal like index funds. Essentially, I have a larger percentage that's in. I already had a large percentage, but I'm just moving more and more of that as I like make bets on, crypto and stuff like that. I'm just like, okay, my retirement fund is just straight up
S&P 500 index.
Index funds or target date retirement funds on Vanguard. Those ones do pretty well. And it's actually tended to outperform outside of one-off stocks. Like Microsoft has done phenomenally well. My Amazon picks at the bottom of the COVID.
The Magnificent
level,
Seven.
like if you get those, then you're good to go. But you just don't fade them. Disney's way down right now as well, which is interesting to see. Post the COVID bump, there was like it went up for a period of time because of Disney Plus. That's another one that I'm looking at where I'm like, is Disney going to disappear? Like that one to me is just like, I don't know. I don't want to fade them. Like I feel like they have they're a completely different business though. But I like their brand.
What I was I know you like the brand, that's for sure. But the thing is, it's just hard for me to tell whether it's a good price to buy in. I'm definitely underexposed to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, but I'm extra underexposed to Solana. So my goal right now is to accumulate more Solana. It's actually to accumulate a little bit more Ethereum too, because if historically speaking, the price appreciation in a bull cycle continues to be, more more profitable with Ethereum and even more profitable with Solana. Because I buy like a lot of Bitcoin. I'm very comfortable accumulating a ton of Bitcoin, for me, right? I'm not like buying 20 Bitcoins a day or something like that, right? But I feel like sometimes
if you had enough money to, you would.
Yeah, I would. But I do feel like I forget sometimes that it's more realistic in a bull cycle for Ethereum to see better price appreciation and Solana. And especially now that we're like building on Solana and I see the power of Solana and, we're talking to different people building in the Solana ecosystem, I just get more and more bullish on the token. And I think it oversold pretty heavily during the FTX debacle. And I think we've talked about that on the show. And I don't think that that's too hot of a take. So yeah, I've been definitely feeling very underexposed to Solana, but underexposed in general to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Go ahead.
So check out this stock, Pio, and guess where your boy bought?
Your boy, I think you bought it before that big green candle right there.
Probably somewhere around like, I would say actually probably like right here. This was one of the worst buys that I had out of all of these. But there's a lot of these that I'm a fan of. Asana is a nice one that I bought way high up, but you can't let this inflated price steer you wrong. Asana has a nice just continuous accumulation. So this is one that I'm interested in. But the bottom line is, you said I can't figure out what they're worth. I don't understand. So you can't figure out what the stocks are worth, but you can figure out what Bitcoin is worth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm serious. I'm actually not kidding. Yeah.
But are you trying to buy individual stocks or are you trying to go into a fund?
Me?
No, Pio, because he often says that is the price of Apple at its highest, but you're talking about today's context. Are you talking about individual stocks? Or are you talking about funds?
I buy individual stocks. Tesla is my largest individual stock holding, and I've been buying, for quite a while. It's volatile, right? It's really, really volatile. And the crazy thing is that I bought it, in March, April, May, June 2020, it obviously saw a massive appreciation from then. I've, accumulated a good amount of shares during the kind of the sell-off that we saw in 2022. It went back down even a little bit lower than where I started buying it at. So that was like a pretty gnarly thing for me to see. So I just ended up buying a bunch more there and continuing to buy. And now it's way up again. So it can be a pretty wild ride. But as far as like a growth company goes, like, come on, it's all about Tesla. What I didn't see coming is his Apple continuing to hit all-time highs with seemingly not that much innovation. I mean, I talk about these like Beats headphones that are an Apple product and how bad these suck. Like the days of crazy innovative products from Apple, I think are behind us. Like the Tim Cook era hasn't really been producing those, but they run a great business.
Well, clearly they run a business that people are a fan of. Apple is actually one of the weirdest ones. I prefer Microsoft over Apple when it comes to, like, I buy Apple products, but I prefer Microsoft stock.
I've been buying Microsoft stock because of some of the things that you and Easy have talked about. And yeah, that one's working out quite well too.
That one's good. Apple, dude, my phone, Pio knows this, my phone just stopped working yesterday. Like literally,
such a good sign.
Like
can't get a hold of you.
Disconnected from the cellular service, and I was like, "How does that happen?" And with all of the SIM swap stuff going on, I was like,
a scary moment, right?
I was like, "Did I get SIM swapped?" But I have protection levels because you can call up AT&T and give them a security code that in order to take any action on the account. So I have that on the account. It's 696969. But I called them up to like make sure. I was like, was I SIM swapped? And they're like, no, it just seems like your phone's not working. So I got to go into AT&T today in order to fix it. The only reason I mentioned that is, dude, Apple has like some weird buggy shit that like happens with their products, which is kind of like surprising considering, how much money they have. Like there's a lot of features where it's sort of just like they could make iMessage 1,000 times better. Like, for example, I'd love to be able to categorize contacts, for example, and switch between those areas, like just my priority contacts. And now I know you can move a circle up to the top, but it would be really cool to be able to have like groups of people that you can like swap between. I think that it would be like their Notes app could improve, although it's been improving. That one's good, but I'd like different themes. There's all sorts of things small improvements that they could make. And then the hardware side of things, like I have two phones, and the other phone, when I went to it the other morning, you couldn't touch it. Like the screen just was not responsive. And then I restarted it, still couldn't. There's just weird things like that where I'm just like, what the hell is going on with these products? They're basically as big as a government. And they can't get that shit working. I mean,
actually, they don't prioritize it anymore. They prioritize security. That does seem
they
to
got the VR Pro 1 Quest things. Like we got AR vision and goggles now, like that's priority. Eventually we won't need phones. We'll be living in the metaverse.
I mean, it would be interesting if their VR products, turn out to be absolute game changers. But it's we haven't seen that much innovation since post Steve Jobs. Go ahead,
so
Nick.
I think that product's going to be really interesting, but version 15 of it is going to be insane. And they need to be operating in this space, and they need to be funded in some way by that development. And I think they have the ability to make larger revenue from those products than Facebook does from their VR products. And so where for Facebook, it's going to be this massive money losing operation, at least Apple has all of this hardware expertise. And with their chip development, I think that's the thing that's like the most bullish about them. They're basically the best hardware company in existence. And so you should like hold on to I think you should hold on to their stock just from that standpoint, that they have that they're so good at that side of things, despite all the errors that they have. They're still building that fully integrated solution, which is the dream of all of these tech companies. And it's really hard to accomplish. And I don't think I'm sure Facebook is outsourcing all their chip development. And if they became a chip manufacturer, their stock would crash probably because people would be like, what the fuck is this company doing? But anyways.
Yeah. So look, ladies and gentlemen, today's free NFT is brought to you courtesy of Cendan Claiborne, who's being featured on today's Artist Spotlight through the Nifty. Cendan is from Oakland, California, now lives in Utah, is working as a designer and illustrator at Golden Wolf and Doodles. Golden Wolf, of course, the company that Doodles acquired. The artwork takes inspiration from characters that are living outside of society's norms. Make sure you follow Cendan at Cendan TV. That's Cendan TV. I'm sure Clemente has Cendan's Twitter, pinned to the top. Artwork is insane. Clemente has some of the artwork shown on the YouTube stream right now. It is super duper dope. We are very, very excited to have a free NFT created by Cendan. So shout out to Cendan and make sure that you give Cendan a follow and check out the artwork. Really cool stuff. Clemente will have things pinned to the top of the Twitter space. That we haven't given out the code just yet.
You're making me anticipate it, but you're not giving out the code?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. I kind of want to get the code here.
Well, that's a little selfish, Nick.
Clemente, give me the code.
Sarah Script, talented artist and former Artist Spotlight featured artist, is impressed with Cendan. So very, very cool to see some love from a qualified analyst there, Sarah Script. Very cool. Clemente, if you want to post the code in the Discord to let people that hold their NFTs get first dibs, and then we'll dish out the code on the YouTube and Twitter Spaces streams. We have this segment that Clemente titled Bull Market Flashbacks. He said, we received a DM yesterday from a listener of the show that was asking if each speaker could share the worst NFT purchase that they ever made. It could be the worst. I mean, it's always the worst, isn't it? It's not the best. It's always the worst.
Clemente, is the icon of this segment my seahorse?
Well, is that your worst ever purchase?
Biggest loss? Potentially. I can't think of a bigger loss that I had.
Mine's a Lyrical Lemonade carton, which is now 0.1.
Oh my God.
What did you buy it?
I think like 1.8.
Which maybe even lower, which was early. It went to 5 ETH.
Yeah.
There's layers of issues with that one. That's really low. I did not know that the carton was that low.
And I don't normally trade in that like above 1 ETH range unless it's like some wild conviction. Pixelmon, absolutely up there. That was like a 60,000 United States dollar loss. That one was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's was a gnarly. That was a really good one. It was fun to just knock out an entire like average American salary. I'm trying to think what else we have on here. There's been some winners, of course, too. Like you gotta look at the winners, of course. Not many.
I took some losses. Let me look at. I have a spreadsheet of NFT losses. And
we'll check in with Nick in a sec once he loads up the spreadsheet.
It's there's one for 10K, which was the Fly Fish
I know
Club.
your best win. I know your best win. Your best win is the Dead Friends 1 of 1 that you sold Pico Top sale. That was literally just free 40 grand.
That was a great trade, but it's not the best gain. I bought a Bored Ape for $400 and sold it for $250,000, plus got airdropped $200,000 of NFTs with it. So that one was pretty good. So that was like, better. Yeah. So that one pretty good, and then I held on to another one, got more airdrops, and then did I get 1 or 2 codas? One coda.
You got one coda, but you
on
sold it for $100 grand, which was very strong.
That was another one of my best trades, was screaming from the mountaintops to be selling other deeds on mint day. Aggressively saying this is the time to sell the shit out of these.
Well, you were right. Signal is your worst one. I think I can guess. Is it Pixel Vault?
No. The one that still gives me acid reflux is my Moonbird, but we don't talk about that because I don't have any acid reflux medicine with me. That was definitely my biggest loss. Like when Kix talks about all the apes that he sold at like 1 ETH when he bought them at half an ETH. That's how I feel about my Moonbird. It's just like, just too much money. But hey, you have your wins, you have your losses, you have your lessons. This is why I don't buy NFTs over 5 ETH anymore. I'm just I'm done with that business. Trade in, trade out. I should have been trading like Easy and listening to Easy a lot more, because I do remember on the night of the well, it was night for me. It was I think 2 a.m. for me, when Other Side minted and we were all live on Spaces and everyone was pulling like black holes and whatever. He was like, sell that shit now. And everybody was in euphoria. Lots of people didn't listen. But hey, these are lessons that you learn, and these are the lessons that you take with you into the next market. Like, no more round tripping.
I mean, very, very wise words from Signal. Look, let's dish out this free NFT code. So we got, if you go to the nifty.com/claim, put in the code GRIME and then the number 8, GRIME, and then the number 8. This is a free NFT courtesy of Cendan Claiborne. Check out Cendan's portfolio at exchange.art/Cendan. So that's exchange.art/CENDAN. Damn, this is a super dope free NFT. It's called Territory. I'm a huge fan of Cendan's art style. Yeah, like I'm really impressed. I'm really pumped that we featured Cendan on this segment. This is super duper dope. So go to the nifty.com/claim, put in the code GRIME8, GRIME, and then the number 8 for the free NFT. And of course, go to exchange.art/Cendan. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow and Friday. We do the show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till around this time each and every week. The show is also available on YouTube if you want to actually watch the video feed of the show and see us having the discussion on YouTube. Also available on Apple and Spotify podcasts, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to share the show with people outside of the NFT space, then definitely check it out on Apple and Spotify podcasts. Anyway, that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Check out the free NFT, the nifty.com/claim with the code GRIME8, GRIME, and then the number 8.